We are now just a couple of weeks away from the release of the new Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it most definitely seems like this simulator packs quite a punch right out of the box. But if playing Flight Simulator for the last couple of years has taught me anything, is that the community and third-party developers are the ones that can really squeeze out every single drop out of what a flight simulator can offer. Of course, the better the simulator, the more we can get out of it. And of course, in order for the community to create the content we dream of, but was outside the scope of the developer team, the community needs the right tools for the job. Sometimes these tools must be created by the community itself. This obviously requires incredible amounts of time and effort, but sometimes the game or simulator developer provides these tools, allowing the community to only dedicate its efforts and time into the content for the software, instead of wasting resources in tool development. This is what the SDK from the Microsoft Flight Simulator team is, the tools the community needs in order for us to build upon, grow, expand, improve. So great news indeed. The developer team will be handing us the tools we need for the job. That's, amazing news. End of story. Well, not exactly. Things are a bit more complicated. In this topic, we got some good news and some bad news I would like to discuss. Let's start with the good news. Good news is the SDK will be available from day one. The day the simulator releases, the SDK will be available for third-party developers to make use of. And actually, many third-party developers already have the Microsoft Flight Simulator SDK and are already creating content. That is correct, even before the release of the simulator. And here's where we transition from the good news to the bad news. Before doing so, I want to take this opportunity to mention a new partnership to this channel, Threshold. Threshold is well known as a platform that consolidates all information regarding X-Plane, but as of now, will also be a hub for everything Microsoft Flight Simulator related. So now making use of this partnership will now aid myself regarding the SDK bad news with a note published by Threshold, written by Sam Clerk. Link to this note is on this video's description. The bad news we must face is that the SDK is currently lacking. The tools in some cases do not give out the desired results. Sometimes they do not have functionality that is expected from them. Sometimes they outright can't be used under certain workflow. And sometimes they are just quite hard to understand and operate. And it may not help the fact that documentation explaining how to operate these tools can be minimal or non-existent. Of course, things like this can be expected, but it raises some interesting questions. Will the developer team continue working on the SDK after launch? If so, will the SDK gain prioritization or lose prioritization? Will requested features be provided? Those are questions with currently no answers, sadly. But thanks to Sam's Threshold note, we can understand some of the issues the SDK is causing to developers, and we can find some interesting leaks of information. Let's begin with what we learned from UK 2000's post, a scenery developer for pretty much every popular general aviation platform. It tells us how the new simulator does not support FSX era scenery, and compares the development on the new simulator against previous ones, like the experience of switching from Linux to Windows. It sounds to me like it is not terribly complicated, but that much effort is required in order to get used to a new, very different way of doing things. The tools are different and the workflow is different. This may be expected, but those developers also mentioned that the SDK feels unfinished, which also it kind of is to be expected at this point in time, making us go back to a previously asked question. Will it ever feel finished? And if so, when? We also have some comments made from Verticalism, a developer that has worked exclusively with X-Plane in the past. It mentions that learning the tools is proving to be quite a challenge all by itself. Of course, this is to be expected as he is coming from a very different platform. But what he mentions, and I found interesting, is that the SDK is very lacking in abilities and documentation. Also, something very interesting is that he mentions that the simulator currently only supports models made in 3ds Max. And me, myself as a Blender user, this is very concerning. Hopefully in the future it will support Blender, or at least we will get a Blender exporter plugin. As you guys may or may not remember, in the July 16th update, we talked about how the Flight Simulator team is improving on the SDK, and how they are working hard on providing better examples, more documentation, and even video tutorials to aid in the use of the SDK. Also, the simulator having a built-in marketplace for third-party developers should also point us into the idea that we will end up having a very powerful and robust SDK someday. Hopefully soon. So what we must confront now is the release of the new simulator is quite close. How many third-party add-ons can we expect to be available on launch? And if any, what level of quality can we expect? How do you think this is going to play out? Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and maybe consider joining this channel with a subscription. We'd love to have you around for more Flight Simulator content. Special thanks to my Patreons, Punda, Lover Vegeta, Eastern Hops, Ron Miller, and Fleming Didriksen. Happy flying, stay safe, cross check out.